Right, hello there. Well, I thought I'd make a video about this. I'll make it as short and sweet as I can, but it's a bit of detail. I'm working on a bit of an unusual bike for me, an unusual bike all round. It's a Monet Goyen, French-made bike, but made with a British-designed Villiers engine, made under licence in France, this whole unit. So, the unusual part about that, what makes it slightly odd, is that the engine itself, all the nuts and bolts and fasteners are metric, because the French are onto the metric system by now. Whereas if this was a UK-made or British-made Villiers engine, all the threads and fasteners would be in imperial. So when the bike came into me, it was a non-runner. The guy had bought it and was hoping to restore it, or get it running again. So, looking around it, getting bits to work, soon realised that we had something missing here. This is the clutch operating rod sticking out of the engine. It slides backwards and forwards. But there was obviously something to press against it and push so that the clutch would work. So a bit of research, a bit of looking around as you do, and we found that it was missing this, the clutch, well, the gearbox dust cover. So the customer has sourced this off eBay. It's come as a part with lots of bits and pieces it needs. So this is the cover itself fitted on. Inside the cover, it has the actuating rod. So this sits a little socket in there. This sits onto the end of the shaft. It's got a pivot on this side and the cable pulls here. So as it pulls in that direction, it puts lever on this rod, pushes it in and actuates the clutch. So all good there. We've figured that bit out. We know how it all works. The only difficulty I've just had is that obviously Monet Goyen designed this with some, these are threaded bars sticking out of here. And to attach this, there would have been some what we call socket bolts to go through that hole there, and they would have threaded onto that stud. Now the casing that's come, and the Villiers sort of system to fasten it, it has these, which screw into the casing itself. So we're slightly different, we're mismatched. And these little bolts here are imperial as they would be, because this casing is off a Villiers version of this engine. So what I'm going to do is make a few of these. So it's a piece of brass bar. I've threaded it, drilled a hole and threaded that 6mm, so this will fit onto here and screw in. Now you might think that's a tiny bit long there, but yes. So that'll screw into there. I'm going to cut it at that mark that you can just see there. The idea is then I'll have a piece of brass rod protruding with a hole in it with a 6mm thread. I can then use the bolts that have come, these Villiers bolts, but what I'll have to do, because I want to retain the look of that on the outside, so what I'm going to do is cut these, well, remachine these bolts so that instead of imperial, they're a 6mm thread and they'll screw into the bars that I've got. So I'll make a little video when I'm finished to show the whole thing complete. So that's the studs done. They're threaded onto the original, 3 brass bushes made, and they're threaded inside M6. So a test fitting of the case just to make sure that it goes on, fits over, and that it doesn't protrude off the machine face. If I'd made them too long, they'd be holding the casing away like that. So I've got to make sure the casing fits solid against the engine, and you can just see the inside of the brass inside there. So just the bolts to rethread, and then we can fasten that back. And we're there. So that's the casing on. These 3 bolts rethreaded. The last one just going in. So they're all nice and tight now. And then that's the clutch arm that I was mentioning earlier. It's adjustable here on this knurled button there. You just turn that out or in to adjust the amount of free play on that. If I turn it right in, you can see the arm on the right, on the left actually move, and then that's gone solid. You want a bit of free play on it to allow the clutch to have some slack like that. So this cable here, which is off the lever on the bar, goes into the adjuster on the back, comes through the slot on the casing here. I'll have a little adjustable clamp-on nipple to put on the end of the cable there, which will pull against that and operate the clutch.